What's up, Rapport family? It's your boy C-Dub. As Auburn football prepares for spring practice, there are three important questions we must answer. We will discuss that and more in tonight's edition of the Midweek Report. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the Midweek Report, brought to you by show sponsor, the Opelika Rage Room. It's an amazing place in two locations, guys. So if you're in the Opelika area or in the Birmingham area, please stop by. You see the addresses below based on where your locale is. Stop in. If you need to break some stuff, you know, that punching bag at the gym just ain't going to quite cut it. Those weights at the gym ain't going to quite cut it. Go to the Rage Room and break some stuff without going to jail for it. All right. Show them some love as they show the War Report some love. Tell them we sent you. Thanks again. Also, we'll appreciate you. Also, if you share this content with some of your friends and other fellow Auburn fans, smash that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Get yourself a green name and enjoy some of our perks. Ike, what are those perks exactly?
You know, it's not the pills that you take. It is some great content that we have rolling out here for y'all. A lot of film.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, appreciate it. You know, so got a lot of film. You know, live chats with your boy during the mornings, all that kind of thing, man. But it's really easy. Just go ahead and click the join button and decide which level you want to support. We really just appreciate you guys for continuing to help keep the lights on right here at the War Report. You can gift a membership right now, and somebody can get a free month of membership on you. And, they can enjoy all of the great things that allow them to be a part of the Green Name Gang. You can listen to a lot of other great Auburn content on the Auburn Express Up-Tempo and College Loop podcasts, all on the part of the War Report Network. So if you like to listen to stuff while you're driving or working out or whatever, audio format stuff, we got that for you, part of the network. So go ahead and click in with that. Yeah.
Gentlemen. Auburn is right around the corner as it pertains to spring ball. There are some questions we need answers for. All right. What are those questions? Let's start with question number one. And let's talk about Hugh Freeze's offense, shall we? Let's talk about that. We want to know, can Hugh Freeze run his style of offense in 2024 and improve the passing attack? Obviously, the passing game has been a sore spot for Auburn. Going back as far as 2017?
18?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2017 last year was good, right? So we're going on almost 7 years of struggle at that area of Auburn's offense. Auburn has since have gone through 2 head coaches, on his third since then. What can Hugh Freeze do? What has Hugh Freeze done in the past, guys? I'll try to breeze through these real quick. I'm going to read off some stats, number of plays, run-pass ratio. From 2012 all the way through 2023, obviously Hugh Freeze did not coach for 3 seasons here. Some of the best years he's had. 2018, they ran 1,018 plays. Run pass ratio, they ran at 52% to 48%. They threw it 30 points per game, 8-5 record that year.
That's 20. You said how many plays?
2013.
2013, right?
Yeah, 2013. I may have said the wrong thing, but 2013. In 2015, they ran 952 plays. They actually threw the ball 52% of the time, ran it 48% of the time, averaged 40.8 points per game, 10-3 record. Chad Kelly was a starting quarterback that year. At Liberty, They ran it. Now, this was Malik Willis's first year. They a total of 797 plays. The run pass ratio was 57 to 43%. They ran it 57% of the time, 38.2 points per game, 10-1 that year. Had a few 8-win seasons sprinkled in here and there. Obviously, his last 2 years, his last season as a Liberty head coach, and his first year at Auburn, the run pass ratio was skewed badly in favor of the run, 61% to 39%. Can he improve that, gentlemen? And what does the ratio? It appears as though the ratio needs to be closer to 50% to where he's incredibly balanced. What say you guys about that statistic? I'll start with you first, Mike G.
Yeah, I think that obviously any offense is better when it's more balanced. But particularly in a Hugh Freeze offense, when the play count is lower, things aren't going so well. So, last year, I mean, in this all his years as a head coach, the fewest amount of plays he's run as a head coach resulted in one of the worst seasons he's had as a head coach. Now, it was the year one, and you can point to a lot of reasons for why that was. But I think it just kind of points to they've got to run more offense in 2024. They've got to run more offense, and they've got to eat 61 to 39.
Actually, to me, it's not necessarily the less plays he's running, Mike, because the less plays he's ran was actually in
2020.
Yeah. So really, the issue is if he's running a lot, if he's running the ball a lot, that's not good for his offense.
Yeah, it's got to be closer to 50-50, man. I mean, you're talking about the second least plays he's run, but either way, man, when the play count is below like 900 and things aren't going so well, they've got to run more plays. And, part of that is going to be sustaining more drives.
Right.
Lots of 3 and outs that led to not so great times for Auburn football. So, I mean, my starting thoughts on this are very simple, right? Like, they need to figure out a way to sustain drives and move the ball effectively. Hugh Freeze, much to some people's surprise, he's run the ball a lot more than he's passed it throughout his career. So that means that Jarquez Hunter and those guys will get their opportunity to eat, but quarterbacks are going to have to see the same.
All right, talk to me, man. What can he improve the passing attack? Yeah, obviously he needs to, but can he do it?
I think the answer is going to be in the tempo. I think the answer is in the tempo. Once he gets the offense running the way that he is used to, which is up tempo and allowing himself to get more advantages because people are just out of position, I think that will open some things up in the pass game. Now, of course, elephant in the room. I'm not even looking at the chat right now. Matter of fact, I don't even have our live chat up to see this. But I would wager to say that if people are answering this question, they are bringing up the topic of who's going to be the quarterback.
Got to answer that question. That was going to be my question, but
I think a lot of it has to do with who's making the decisions on game day. Not talking about play calling. I'm talking about on the field about do we run in this scenario? Do we pass in this scenario? Coach Hugh Freeze can't make that call from the sidelines, not in an RPO system where the quarterback is responsible for the read. But to help that out a lot, I think the tempo is going to be a thing. And I said this on a morning drop recently. I think that they should just run tempo regardless of what the defense looks like. Be who you are and let your defense catch up with it.
Okay. All right.
Defense will catch up.
I don't know, but listen, I'd rather lose a shootout than go out here and freaking not be able to put up any. I am tired of going as an Auburn fan. I'm tired of watching a poultry offense tried out there every single week. Now, it's going to frustrate me to watch a defense give up 30 points per game, right? Like, I'm not going to be happy about that either. But I feel as if we've got the right guy on the defensive side of the football that can get that fixed. But I need to see, because it's not going to be a talent issue, right? Like, we're going to have talent on that defense. They just need to be able to play in the right kind of scheme. We'll fix that. Can I see some offense, please?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to see some offense. It'd be nice.
I mean, it would be. We have been bad at offense for going on 7 years now, but Hugh Freeze had been bad at offense at Auburn for 1 year. So he's like, all right, give me a minute. We're like, no, now. We've been terrible out here. So I agree he needs some time. But to the point about the division run pass, see, what we've seen from Hugh Freeze in year 1 here is that he was willing to change how the offense is going to run to protect the defense. He did not attempt to run fast in the early going to play offense quickly, to hurry up, specifically because the risk of not completing passes or not getting your first downs, your offense is off the field very quickly. And then your defense is right back out there suffering because they're thin. And in the early going, they were injured. So what he's shown is the propensity to say, I need to change what I want to do to protect another part of the team that might not be up to whatever the standards are. In that case, it was depth. What we've seen in terms of run pass split is that he's going, okay, I don't have the guys for this passing game to work like I want it to work. So I'm going to protect the quarterback, the wide receivers. I'm not going to even put them at risk because I don't think they can do it. So I'm going to run the ball more because at least I can do that. And the same can be said for the very low number of pass attempts. He's like, I'm not going to put you in a situation to ruin this. We're down on the goal line. Once we get inside the 10, you ain't throwing no more. No more. Hugh Freeze will definitely adjust what he wants to do in order to protect a weakness, which is why the closer we get to that 50-50 split, all of the wins get better. The numbers get better because he's throwing it because he believes that he can. He believes that he has the personnel, quarterback, wide receiver, protection, whatever have you, to actually put a potent passing game out there on the field. So if we get to closer to 50-50, it means that he knows we can do it, and therefore he's going to call it. If we're not, that means he doesn't believe that the people that we have, he can get them to do it. So yes, a split would be great. Unlike what we saw we were worried about this when Gus was here with Bo. It's like, why are you trying to have a true freshman throw 40 times a game?
Right. Yeah.
That's not what we should be doing. So
that
we
definitely made me mad watching Bo Nix go out there and throw the ball as much as he did. And listen, never mind. I'm sorry. I was
triggered. You got triggered.
Yeah, I did.
You got triggered.
My bad.
a true freshman who just got there was not prepared to run the offense. And I think we spoke about this in the last week or so. He should have been learning on the bench year 1 because those big moments, those big games, he wasn't ready for it quite yet. But that's the flip side to what Hugh Freeze has been doing. Instead, said, well, let me protect this by doing something else. Gus was like, no, this is what we're going to do. Like, no, but we can't do it though, Gus. Like, do you see that we can't do this? This doesn't work. And in the game, we won that Iron Bowl. We scored a lot of points, 2 pick sixes. Bo threw less than 15 times. It was a recipe of everything in the kitchen sink in the run game. Of course, we know the game-deciding touchdown that game in 2019 was Boobie Whitlow pop passing it forward to Sean Shivers for a running touchdown. Well, no, technically it was a pass, right? Technically it was a pass touchdown. We didn't put the game in the quarterback's hands because he wasn't able to do it. But Gus decided to save that until the end of the year. Hugh Freeze gets out there and be like, nope, can't do it. Let's just tuck it in. 50-50 would be ideal. If we go 50-50 run pass, that means Hugh Freeze has the confidence in the personnel and the team to get it done on the field on offense.
Okay, so question. We mentioned QB. What does the QB or the QB position look like in year 2 in order for the passing attack? You talked about the QB being very decisive and making the proper reads in an RPO, right? So the question here is round robin going around to you guys is what do we need to see in spring ball, A-Day game? You want to see from the QB position that gives us at least some hope that we're trending towards an improved passing attack. We can see more of the pass as part of the run pass ratio in 2024. Start with you, Mike.
Well, we know that A-Day game plans are kind of vanilla for a lot of reasons. They don't want to show anything about what they're going to do. Hugh Freeze said last year that he felt like the fact that nobody knew what Auburn's system was going to be an advantage to them going into the fall.
He did
right?
say that. Problem was Auburn didn't know
either. Yeah, he didn't know either. So
The players didn't know.
That was tough. That was a tough quote to bring back up. So going into this spring, he's going to call plays, and I think that people may study, what he's done before. But I would probably challenge anyone thinking about this to think about how maybe the game has changed since Hugh Freeze last did this successfully in the SEC. I think that the game has become more dynamic offensively. It requires more dynamic quarterback play, and we'll see what they can do from that position. I think Walker White is extremely talented, but I'm not sure you can count on him next year to step in and be the guy. That leaves you with Hank Brown, Holden Geriner, and Peyton Thorne. Does Peyton Thorne have another gear? I don't know, right? Like, I think that it's going to be hard for them to see that in practice from him. So to the question of, what do we need to see? I don't know what you see from Peyton Thorne in practice at this point. It tells you it's going to translate to a game. Unless you're just saying our system was so bad it held them back. I just want to see them attempt to. I want to hear reports out of camp that the passing game looks competent. Heather Dinich comes down here again. I don't want her to leave and tell everybody they need patience with the wide receivers. She got scoffed at, but clearly, if you ask something, she was onto something. So I think the report should just need to be that it looks better, and the bar's on the floor, so that should not be a hard thing to accomplish.
Yeah. As far as the A-Day game is concerned, I think it needs to look like what Coach Freeze said he wanted to do last year, which is where they're going to throw it around and we're going to see what we have. I just don't know that he got an opportunity to showcase that the way that he would have liked to. And we're in a very different scenario this season, too, because, only one of these quarterbacks is even perceived as a running threat.
It was raining last A-Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wasn't able to do much of anything.
Yeah, and so, again, we're only one of these guys that's perceived as a running threat, which, actually, that's how it was last A-Day. Only one of the quarterbacks was perceived as a running threat, so one of them looked better than everybody else by default. Hopefully the weather's in a good enough place where you get an opportunity to see them complete forward passes, or at least attempt forward passes, so you can make an evaluation and say, okay, this is what we might look like. We'll see.
B?
Yeah. All that.
We'll get to one more. We'll tackle one. Actually, I'm gonna grab some of the comments. We'll talk through some of those. Tim Two-Main Taylor asks, question number 1 is, who's going to be throwing the ball to Cam in the gang?
There it is.
Yeah.
At this point, I think people should. I think that people should brace themselves for year 2 of Payton Thorne at Auburn. Those guys may. I
still fundamentally believe Payton Thorne's in the driver's seat right now for QB1.
I think that's a safe assumption.
I think it's a fair statement.
That's a safe assumption here.
I have a fair statement. Look,
who else do you put in there? Who else do you put in the driver's seat?
Nobody else has played significant snaps at quarterback in a college game.
The experience argument might keep the others out unless they outplay him significantly in camp. I'm just not sure I believe in that, because if you listen to reports, he got outplayed in the last camp and still won the job. So, I think people should just go ahead and adjust yourself emotionally for Payton Thorne and just pray that he does better. And they have a better plan for him. Because it wasn't all on Thorne. I'm telling you, this system was jacked up last year, was not good. They did not do a good job. The coach can't be too busy recruiting to be involved in the game plan in year 2.
Well, he can't be. He has a first-year coordinator.
Yeah, watch it. Walk and chew gum at the same time, man.
Yeah. Brad Browning says, Jay, 238. His previous passers completed more than that. Payton Thorne attempted that. Hashtag for shame.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, they completed more passes than he attempted last year.
The ratio of run pass was disproportionately in favor of the run. And in the years that Hugh Freeze has done that, he's averaged under 30 points per game.
I wonder if you add Payton Thorne's rushing attempts to his passing attempts, if you get to Hugh Freeze's average
pass attempts.
Yeah.
You're saying his average pass attempts if you added all of the attempts
the runs that came out of that.
Yeah, like the runs that Payton Thorne had to his pass attempts, like
man. But I mean, listen again. I think the offensive
there was several games where, like, when you looked at the number of pass. I mean, we ran the ball a lot into some of these games, so it's still heavy run.
I just think, man, the quarterback not requirements, what the coach is going to be asking of the quarterback is going to be drastically different this season than what was asked of quarterbacks last season. I think that they're going to put more of a responsibility for him to throw the football this year. Like, look, man, make the read, throw the ball.
As he should.
Yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid off, man. Let's go. Hugh Freeze offense. Let's go. Corey Weber says, I am not sure we saw much of anything from Freeze year one. Year one was a bad Philip Montgomery experiment.
He's still responsible, Corey.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, I understand Philip Montgomery. It was more Philip Montgomery's offense, but Coach Freeze is he's enough of an offensive guy that he should be able to walk into. He said this early in the season when it came to the defense, if you guys remember. After he's like, hey, I went into the defensive meetings and I said, hey, I wanted to see more stuff like this, and they made some fixes. You should be able to do that with the offense 10 times better because you're an offensive guy. I just don't know that it wasn't his system, but you can't just absolve him of the offensive output as the head coach, being an offensive head coach.
Right.
Yeah, I bet.
So, and I think what I'm gathering from Corey's point here is he expects it to be different.
Oh yeah, it should be.
100%.
That's what I gather.
Putting it on Philip Montgomery, just the experiment of Montgomery with Freeze, was not good, right? Because
Yeah,
I bet you if you ask Philip Montgomery, he'd tell you that was not my offense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Forgive me if I butcher your name. Drainus? That. So forgive me. Offense seemed to play way too calculated instead of playing loose and having fun. That starts with the QB's energy on the field. Thoughts, gentlemen?
He was definitely trying not to mess up. Payton Thorne did, and there was some speculation that it was because somebody was behind him. Everybody was trying to excuse the bad play. He was pressing because somebody was behind him, because Hugh Freeze had said Robbie is going to get snaps at that point in the season. Yeah, but later when Robbie wasn't going to get snaps, you start throwing pick sixes. So I don't think that was necessarily it. So what is it that
that's true.
what is it that
Robbie wasn't even at the bowl game? They ain't had none.
No, can't put that on Robbie. So
Hank Brown was behind him. Hank Brown. Every year somebody behind him every time.
So
I don't know.
The calculated part, I do. There's absolutely some of this is you get a quarterback and wide receivers, and everybody is trying to figure out something brand new, and that's a real thing with football. I told you one of the points that Hugh Freeze made in the offseason before the bowl game was why they weren't gonna go get a highly touted portal quarterback. He was like, if you look at the numbers, year one with these guys isn't really what everybody expects. It's year two when they turn around. That's actually a real thing. All the examples, Jaden Daniels was okay year one, year two, Heisman. There's plenty more examples, but that's just the first one.
The only caveat that I would give to that actually hurts Coach Freeze's point is that in the vast majority of those situations, it was the same offense in year two as it was in year one.
Yep, that's facts.
They
had continuity and flow in those year ones, and the baseline for performance for Jaden Daniels was still like top three in the conference. Yeah, in year one. Yeah, it was not bottom of the conference.
Yeah, but even I'm just talking improvement in general. So if we go up 5 slots from where we were in QB play last year, that is an improvement. But there is something to year two being the thing. But along with that was, year two is why it's gonna look better, but you can still not be the right guy, period. Like if his ceiling was ninth in the conference last year, you want to go to 4th in the conference, good. Is there somebody here who by the end of the year could be a top third of the conference player? And don't you have a responsibility to find that guy instead of, well, I know what I got here. I got this many years of experience. Yeah, but no, though. But go find the best guy. Like I would assume that that's what he wants to do, and that would help some of the energy on the field, because those players know when a quarterback is not equipped to execute the game plan. And that's part of this by itself. Do you think this guy is going to get it done for you? Nope. All right, let me go run these routes. Versus what you saw in the bowl game when somebody with a lightning rod for an arm got in there, and all of a sudden everybody looking crisp and catching balls and stuff. There's a difference.
Corey Weber says, can Cam Coleman reach 800 yards receiving this year?
We're going to deal with this later in this show.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to put any yards on. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Can we at least all agree that the system was actually broken, though, and not place everything on one person? Peyton Thorne isn't the guy. No one on O was the guy. This
is the point that I was trying to make about his regression or his lack of production or whatever you want to call it. A lot of this was, some of this for him was the system and what they were asking him to do. I'm telling you, 1,200 yards of regression year over year for a quarterback is, man, that's like, people need to understand how bad that actually is for it to be all on him. It's not. There was a lot of dysfunction. There's no way in no world should Jarquez Hunter not have run for like 1,300 yards last year. He cranked out 909 last year in that. So it hurt everybody. I just think it hurt Peyton Thorne a little bit more. And then, he was his own worst enemy, of course, in some ways, but it definitely wasn't all him. I think if he has a bad season, he's still like a 2,000 to 2,200 yard passer. Yeah. If it's all on him. But 1,600 yards,
yeah,
that's
like
not all Peyton Thorne. Yeah, that's
but it's number of plays, it's number of attempts, and that's I was talking about wide receiver this morning on the drop, and I'm like, if you extrapolate numbers and you assume averages hold, right? Like your assumption is, all right, if I do more of this same thing and the averages hold, then of course my numbers are going to look better. You're going to get a better outcome from Peyton Thorne just by attempting more passes.
Okay. So, hear me out to add to what you're saying. He was a 30 attempt per game quarterback at Michigan State in a low 60s percentage completion rate. The completion percentage held at Auburn.
Right.
You just let him throw the ball less.
Right.
So he was exactly who he's been his whole career. You just let him throw the ball less. There were less opportunities for him, so he threw for fewer yards.
Yeah, and a lot of that, like I said, is the malfunction of the offense, right? Like you're not getting first down, so you're not getting as many attempts to run as many plays. Like there's a lot of reasons that Peyton Thorne's numbers dropped significantly that aren't just Peyton Thorne's not a good quarterback.
Yes, correct. Yes, not all on him.
All right, I'm going to run through these two. Lawrence Robinson says, not true for Joe Burrow. He had a different OC in year 2. Then he comes back and says, Bo Nix had a different OC in year 2 at Oregon.
Yeah, again, I said the majority, not every.
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be examples of the contrary.
But were those different systems, though, right? Like
Joe Burrow's was definitely
like Joe Brady. Joe Brady had cooked up something obviously great for Joe Burrow. Again, to me, those are outliers in my.
And I'd also argue Joe Burrow didn't actually play better in year 2. The system and the talent around him got better. He was actually good that first year.
He was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see that video, the hit that started it all for Joe Burrow? It was in the bowl game versus UCF, I think, the year before. He got nailed. And they were celebrating over his head, and he got up and torched them after that. And then,
they woke up the monster.
That's when he became Joey B. He became Joey B that day.
Yeah, I mean, but that was just kind of his moxie the entire year that year before, where he just kept getting up off the mat. Like he was just kind of that guy the whole time. He just the system allowed him to showcase what he would do better, and that's the question that you have to ask yourself with Peyton Thorne: is there a system that allows him to showcase his best self? And if the answer to that is a system that is more like last year than what we're going to see this coming year, bench him.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm saying, I mean, like, let's be honest, right?
No.
If the system last year is what allows him to be his best self, then you can't go into year 2 with that. But if there is a system you're going to move into that allows him to be in best self, then let's see.
I think if the answer to that was yes, Ike, and Hugh Freeze knows that, he goes and gets a QB out of the portal. He doesn't double down with Peyton Thorne.
That's fair,
right? So I think he believes that there is a system that can showcase Peyton Thorne in a better light than what we've seen thus far. We just got to see it in spring.
Yeah. Y'all know Joey,
or at least hear about it. We may not see it, but we can hear about it.
Yeah, never mind. We're good.
All right.
Come on now.
No. Hold on. We got to move on, y'all. We got to move. We got 2 more questions we got to address.
Right,
we're going to run through those questions a lot faster in the second segment. But you have been watching the Midweek Rapport. Share this video, guys. Smash that like button. Subscribe for those of you who are new to the channel. Let's pay some bills. Come back and talk about the other 2 questions.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageRoom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
As always, thank you to the sponsors of the War Report. Thank you to those of you who continue to support us monthly with your patron or supporter memberships to the Green Name Gang. And we want more of you to do that so we can continue to bring you more content. So you can sign up right now, click that join button, and start enjoying your benefits. Or maybe you get lucky, somebody gifts you a membership. These are randomly assigned by YouTube. We have no control over this. Somebody gives a membership, YouTube disperses those. So if someone does that tonight, then you can have a month of free membership on them. If you like audio versions of what you're hearing right now on YouTube, you can get that on podcast platforms. The Auburn Express, Uptempo Podcast, College Loop, and Justice Sec Podcast are all a part of the War Report Podcast Network. And you can listen to audio versions of all that stuff. If you happen to be somebody who is out there and you're into the betting situation, like my guy B. Will is, then you can go to betus.com. You can sign up. The link is in the description of the video. 24-hour issue payouts. We like getting our money quickly. $125% sign-up bonus up to $2,500 using the link in the description. 24-hour customer service. So if you're into, listen, this March Madness coming up, that's one of the biggest betting seasons out there. If you want to get into that sort of thing, you could do that at BetUS. Go ahead and click that link in the description, and that tells them the War Report sent you as well.
All right, guys, let's get back to it. Question number 2. Auburn has a new defensive coordinator in DJ Durkin, who replaces Ron Roberts, who, for the most part, pleased with the product he put on the field, right? Overall, what deviations we expect under DJ Durkin's defense, his new defense? What are some things that you expect to see that's different from last year's Auburn's defense? I will start with you, Ike.
So DJ Durkin's had good front sevens everywhere he's gone. And I don't know from a talent perspective if Auburn's going to be better up front. I do know that scheme-wise they should be more sound up front. You can't just overlook the fact that Marcus Harris, your leading defensive lineman, is not on the team anymore. Yeah. But I do think that there are going to be some adequate replacements. And similarly to the quarterback conversation, I think scheme actually matters. Where you have guys placed and what you're asking them to do matters as far as what their productivity is going to be. And I am going to trust, the one good thing is that you've got Coach Vaughn there, who has been working with these guys up front, so he understands their strengths and weaknesses. He doesn't have to relearn the group, and they can assimilate into the new system a little bit more easily. And then again, from a scheme perspective, I think that Coach Durkin is going to have guys placed in the right position to go out there and make plays. But you need that front seven to play significantly better this year because of the lack of experience you have in your defensive secondary.
Mike. What's new? What you expect new from this defense?
I was I was not totally surprised at the Durkin hire. It obviously took them a little while to kind of get this thing done with him. I want to be clear about this. Like, I thought Ron Roberts' defense played well last year.
Agreed.
I think that they saved last season from being, I mean, they turned in 6 performances where opponents did not have more than 2 scores. So it was, I mean, they did some things last season. You can't overlook Marcus Harris, as you kind of mentioned at the top of this. So he'll have some different, pieces to play with. I've thought a lot about this. Like, I think where I'm going to be looking for here under him is to see, one, can he maintain the same level of secondary play that was widely believed to be a strength? Now, we know that Texas A&M finished second in the conference last year in pass defense at 188 yards allowed per game. If he does that at Auburn, they're going to have a great year.
Yeah.
Defensively. But hear me out. Last year, Texas A&M finished with the 2nd ranked pass defense and the 1st ranked run defense. So, and he did that in conference. So this is some dude coming from the Pac where defense is not a thing. He came from the SEC, and he produced that here in Auburn's division. Take this talent and replicate some version of that, because Ron Roberts had enough pieces to produce a pretty good defense last year. Had it not been for a lot of the offensive struggles and the time spent on the field and time of possession lost some games, they would have looked even better. I think Durkin can do a lot with these pieces. If his scheme translates and holds, the schedule's going to be different, man. Like, listen, Auburn loses. They won't have to play the best offense anybody's ever seen ever on a field this year in LSU's last year. That hurt the numbers a lot. Jane Daniels hurt the averages a lot. And it's doable. I think that overall the amount of talent Auburn is going to have to face defensively has gone down year over year. Hear me out. Bama may not be the same. LSU's not on the schedule. They don't have to play Ole Miss. They trade out Missouri, so you could argue which one is better offensively. I don't know, man. I think Durkin can eat in this one, and I expect everything to look better somehow in year 2. I'm going to wait. I'm going to reserve a lot of judgment until after spring, but I expect it all to look better.
B-Will, real quick, I got a follow-up question, but give me your thoughts. What are some of the things you're expecting to see out of a DJ Durkin defense that you perhaps did not see on the Ron Roberts?
Well, we're going to see 2 different defensive units because we're going to be less experienced up front, less experienced in the secondary. And I think really the experience of the secondary is what allowed Ron Roberts' defense to work as well as it did last season. So still credit to Ron Roberts, but everybody is limited or empowered by the talent that they have. And we are short. Whether it was the best talent ever, hey, man, listen, I think we got 3 draft picks, at least 2 draft picks in that secondary that aren't going to be here anymore. I wonder how much multiplicity, how much you can hide your blitz, how much you can send different guys from different places if they aren't assignment sound yet because they haven't played enough snaps. And that's what allows your front to hold down the fort because your secondary can help them out. I don't know what to expect. It's really hard to say what to expect because they're both linebacker guys, Durkin and Ron Roberts. They are middle of the defense guys, so middle of the defense forward is going to be reasonably sound. And you had such a dependable dude down there, Marcus Harris, that you don't have anymore. Man, if I say anything that's going to be different, I would hope that with the better talent that we have along the front that we just brought in, that comes along very quickly from now up until September when we actually kick off for the first time. And that front can get after the quarterback much sooner in the season than we did last season. Because if we can produce pressure,
that's the one right there.
If we can produce pressure, then I think that changes everything. So I would expect that to be how Durkin wants to address, just as a default, we're going to get after this. We got McLeod back already. We know what he can do. He did it once he got healthy. Give me one other dude. Year 2 of Falk? Listen, I think that's the key this year. I expect us to get after the quarterback game one and get better at it as the season goes on.
I would argue that that's the way it's supposed to go, though, not the other way around, right? Like, your secondary isn't what allows your front to be great. Your front is supposed to be what allows your secondary to absolutely feast.
Yeah, it should be like that. I mean, but, they did what they had to do last year.
And I think because of that, I think one of the things that Ron Roberts talked about upon entering his first year at Auburn, he talked about this thing called havoc rate, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's tackles for loss, sacks, pass breakups, interceptions. Auburn turned people over quite a bit, especially in the early part of the season. I think they went late into the season without I forget what game it was where that streak ended, but we were getting a turnover in just about
Mexico State, actually, but yeah,
horrible. So,
because I remember late game Vandy, we got that interception and like, oh yeah, the streak continues, and then
So you had guys like Jalen Simpson, experienced guy who was just eating in the backfield. With less experience in some key areas, is it possible we may not turn people? I mean, that may not be the case, but what do you think about in terms of how this defense improves? Could it be that we improve perhaps maybe in 3rd and long situations or 2nd and long situations, 4th and long? These are some of the things that were frustrating with Auburn's defense last year specifically. We got off the field from a percentage standpoint on 3rd downs, but we were giving up a lot of yards when we got opposing offenses in long situations. So what do you guys think about under DJ Durkin? What are some of the things that we address given the personnel changes?
I think you've already talked about it. Well, B. Will started it with, we've got to figure out how to I'll merge the two. On 3rd and long situations, stop giving up a lot of yards. A lot of that has to do with how well you're able to rush the passer, right? And then how assignments sound that you are in stuff like screen game, right? Like if they're going, 3rd and 8, going to throw a screen and try to get you where you outside of where you need to be. But from a Durkin standpoint, I think that if you're going to do what I said we need to do on offense, which is run more tempo, that means that defense needs to get off the field quickly. So you're not wearing your defense out too much. And I don't know. I don't know how they accomplish that, but yeah, we need to see the havoc continue, but the 3 and outs increase, because Auburn has been a bend but don't break defense since the Kevin Steele days. And I don't want any more Pilates out there on our defense. Just break them.
No yoga.
Stop doing all this bending. Pause.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Definitely pause. All right, gentlemen. Listen, I think we have discussed that one pretty well in terms of defense. And again, I'm curious to hear what the players have to say about DJ Durkin, how it is. I'm hearing he's a lot more intense of a coach as opposed to Ron Roberts, who was laid back comparatively speaking. I've heard everywhere DJ Durkin been, he's pretty much an in-your-face kind of, pretty much the personality of defensive coordinators. But let's talk about the last question that we want to discuss for tonight is, let's talk about freshmen. And Freeze has talked about building his roster with high school talent. Auburn did fairly well this recruiting cycle, landing a top 10 recruiting class. How much do we expect Auburn to lean on the true freshmen that have come in 2024? I will start with you, B.
We're going to have to. And it's not just because they may be our best players at several positions, because I think that our incoming freshmen will be the most talented players at a few positions. It's going to be more about play and retention. Players are here for snaps. Okay, they're here for snaps. They're here because they believe in your vision for the program. True, that's part of it. They're here to play. They may be here for what they can get monetarily, sure, because that's part of it, and they do have value. But if you don't play the guys who you're telling, hey, we need talent. You were in the public media saying we need talent. We're a little while away from competing with these really good teams. So, don't expect too much from me. I don't have my guys. Okay, well, these guys heard that and said, okay, I'm a guy. I'm a dude. and I'm gonna come put my college career in your hands. How do you not play the people who you told you are the difference here? Come start something brand new. And on top of that, while you were berating the people who were already here, not berating is too strong a word. There was a difference between the confidence he spoke of with the people who were here and the need he spoke of for the people who were not here yet. So if I'm going to put those two things together, that's got to be, you're going to put me on the field as soon as I get there because you told me I was necessary. Because unlike 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, if you don't do what you said you were going to do, I am out. I'm out. I'll hit the portal, and I'm going to get more money from a school that has just as deeper pockets. Because if you don't keep your word, I'm going to leave. I have a get out of jail free card. I can hold you accountable. That's the only way that players can hold coaches accountable is to leave. And it works. So I believe for that reason, Hugh Freeze will put these freshmen on the field. He will let them play. And because we've seen so much, it's been rough on offense, I think those players get on the field no matter how so-so or inconsistent it looks. Let them learn. I think the fan base will appreciate putting really talented people on the field, letting them figure it out now, rather than holding off and trying to, well, maybe if we don't play this guy, then we can save him. No, what are we saving him for? It's college. He's going to go. He might go anyway. Play these guys while they're here. I think we see a bunch of freshmen in year 2.
Talk to me, Mike.
I think there's a difference in this conversation whether you're talking about offensive and defensive guys and depending 100%. On position, right? Like, so at the end of the day, if you're a freshman, you've got to be physically ready to play at this level. Some guys will, some guys won't. I think obviously the most obvious freshman that's going to hit the field is going to be Cam Coleman. I think that he can go out and make a difference at his position immediately. Hugh Freeze repeatedly talked about catch radius and having receivers who can have a good catch radius and go up and make a play for your quarterback. Well, these quarterbacks may need that a lot. And if he's a guy who can do that immediately, then you just let him go out there and do it. So he sees the field, I think, game 1, personally. After him, you may go a little slower with the Bryce Canes and the Perry Thompsons and the Malcolm Simmons, right? And don't forget my guy with all the swag, Dylan Gentry. Dylan's out here looking like an island boy, but like, look, it's to me the math is a little different for the defense than it is for the offense. I think that a lot of pressure is going to be on the offense. It's easy to get guys to sit and wait their turn when the guys in front of them are playing well and you're winning. If they're not playing well and we're losing and I'm riding the bench, then I'm looking at the portal potentially. Because I didn't get in the game and we're losing and these guys are not doing well. So, I think the better programs don't have a lot of this conversation. It dies because, if I were a quarterback sitting behind Bryce Young, I don't have any questions. He's Bryce Young, and I hope to be the next Bryce Young, but I'm not arguing with my coach about why I'm not starting in front of him.
Right.
Hugh Freeze is going to have that question. They have to get the right guy on the field. I think that Walker White is going to be patient no matter what. And I think that might be what's best for him. And then defensively, if those guys win at practice, they'll play. Defensively, if the guys who practice the best simply are just going to play. You go out there and you wreck physically and you do the things that you need to do in practice and you show yourself, you're going to get time because you always want to rotate as many guys defensively as you can to stay fresh. And you have more opportunity to do that on that side of the ball. So, the guys that are coming in on defense, they'll have their shot to prove that their knowledge of the game and their physicality is up to SEC standards. And if they can prove that, they'll play. Offensively, it's a little bit, the math is just a tiny bit different.
Sure. And it'd be cool to see some of the guys, even on the defensive side of the ball, get into the rotation, right? May not be a starter, but you're in the 2 deep, right? So it'll be cool to see some of those guys in some of the areas. I'm thinking linebacker. There's some opportunities there. The jack position or the edge position, there's some opportunities there. So I'm curious to see what these kids do on either side of the ball. Ike, what's your thoughts, man?
Play the freshmen. Plain and simple, man. Because listen, I personally am not going. I don't want to sit through another year of us reacting to games where people complain about talent. I just don't, right? Like, here's the one thing that I know to be true, though. I know this to be true is, and we're seeing it right now at basketball with Aiden Holloway. People are going to do all this clamoring for the freshmen to go out there and play. And then if they don't like the world on fire, they're going to call them busts after game 3. And I don't want that for those young men either. But what I do want is to see, similarly to how it was with Jeremiah Cobb last year, Coach Hugh Freeze allow young players to come in and contribute immediately because you have confidence that you can recruit more guys to come in. You don't have to worry about, because, you know, we're past the days where we got to redshirt this guy because we want to make sure we got the cupboards. Look, man, just let him play and go recruit some more.
Yeah.
Go win football games, then go recruit some more. I think he's confident enough in his ability to recruit that he's going to do that. Let those young guys go out there and play if they've earned it. If they earn the chance, let them go play. Get the best guys out there on the field, man.
So Mike G mentioned Cam Coleman. Is there anybody else, guys, that you think could be a sleeper who can actually get some serious playing time? May not start, but get some serious playing time out of this freshman class.
I think Jamonte Waller has an opportunity over there on the defensive side just because of we don't have a lot of true pass rushers that are just speed guys. So I think Waller will get an opportunity to play. And then I think that you've got a shot. If we're talking about, are we talking about true freshmen or just guys that we haven't seen play? So that's very, you know, like a red shirt.
True freshman.
I think rotationally you might see one of those young linebackers come in and play a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think you see DeMarcus Riddick. He's to me, he's been underrated to a certain extent in terms of how people are talking about the impact freshmen that come in. That kid is special. He's very special, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play for a long time. You know, in college football, but you know, Auburn should get him on the field next year at some point. And I'm telling you, he's going to be an impact player. I would not be surprised to hear coming out of fall camp what a great camp he had and what a smart player he is and how he does all the right things. He's literally that kind of kid. He is your model student athlete.
Philip Coleman here says TJ Lindsey or Malik Blockton.
Malik Blockton.
There's some opportunity up on the front for a freshman to get into the playing rotation for sure. B. Will, who do you got, man? Who are you thinking of?
I was thinking Amars Williams, but also I know that defensive line, you have to be physically, like that's one of the places where it makes sense to redshirt guys because very rarely, offensive line too, are you physically ready to push up against guys who have been in strength programs 3 and 4 years in college. But I was thinking anybody along that we recruited along the front, specifically because we don't have just a game wrecker there. And if any of these guys have that potential, which is the value of them getting in spring, right? You can start on your body a lot sooner. So get in, get that body right. Amars Williams, TJ Lindsey.
Williams is 6'2", 253. To put that in context, Malik Blockton 6'3", 281. Jason Jones 6'6", 3'4". Jason Jones is a big dude, man.
He's a big boy.
Jamison Travis is 6'4", 300. Let's see, 6'4", 284 is Zacchaeus Walker. 6'4", 282, right? So he's on the smaller side, right? Like 253.
Yeah, that's small.
He needs to put on some weight. TJ Lindsey 6'3", 275. That's a little closer to where you want to be as far as like the makeup, you know. He probably put on about 10 pounds, he'll be good. So, you know, yeah, I think TJ is probably closer from a physical standpoint. Man, Jamonte Waller is 247 at the jack though. Like
That's where you want to be.
You know, Waller might be ready to go out there and, you know, lace him up, man. All right.
Yeah. Outside of Cam Coleman on offense, is there anyone else that I know, Mike G, you said you kind of waiting on the other receivers. Is there anyone else on offense? I mean, I think a pleasant surprise, depending on who you talk to, Connor Lew last year on the offensive line,
Yeah, for
seeing
sure.
him get some burn on the offensive line was pretty impressive. Are there any other freshmen that we can see on the offensive side?
Yeah, look, I know it's a long shot, but I think that if times get really, really hard at quarterback, it should be noted that Walker White rocketed himself from a just outside the top 100 prospect to a top 50 prospect by the end of this recruiting cycle. He finished with a national rank of 41. And, at some point, now he'll have to win the job. Like, he's going to have to really go and show out. But given what we've seen from Auburn's quarterbacks so far, I don't think you can write it off completely if he plays. If it's close, you save him, I think, because you just don't want to ruin him, right? I think it's different if it's like his second year and he hasn't played and it's close, then maybe you play him because you've had a year of him in your system. But if he goes out there for some reason and just absolutely shreds everybody, yeah, I don't know if you can write him off completely.
Yeah.
I like Walker White, man. I think that kid has every single intangible that you want in a quarterback. And that he can do really well in Hugh Freeze's offense.
I think that probably is the biggest differentiator for me for Walker White in this room is the intangible stuff. Like physically, he's definitely where he needs to be from a physical standpoint. I think the intangible, just the way that he was able to galvanize those freshmen that wanted to come play for the same school that he did, like that's a leadership quality that just kind of, I don't think you could just throw that aside like that doesn't mean anything. Now, I don't know if he's ready to play football at this level. I do know that there are young men on that team that are already bought into the fact that he can lead them.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, the buy-in on Walker White internally, and they have not had a spring practice yet. This is just from workouts. Is nuts. And if you've learned anything about us here at the War Report, we do listen to the feedback that the players give on their teammates. And I just think that given some of the stories we heard about last year's quarterback room, that it is refreshing to hear these guys all universally nearly say, man, he's a dude and he's like one of us. Like this guy is it makes me excited because when you're all pulling the same direction, I think you can accomplish a lot. Walker White seems to be a guy who's pulling everybody together.
Good talk, gentlemen. Listen, let's get to some of your comments before we get out of here. Donald Johnson says top newcomer on offense and defense with stat projection.
It's got to be Cam Coleman on offense. Number 5 overall prospect in the country. I don't know if there's been this much hype around a player coming in since Byron Coward came in number 1.
Hope it works out better.
Yeah, right. Like, just hear me out. I don't think there's been this much hype around players since Byron Coward. So Cam Coleman can go out, and the first time he catches a pass, people are going to lose their minds. It could be a 5-yard hitch, and he's got length and speed and crazy good hands. I think Cam Coleman instantly makes any quarterback he plays with better.
All right. That was a layup on offense. What you got for defense?
DeMarcus Riddick.
Okay.
I still think it's DeMarcus Riddick. I'm a DeMarcus Riddick truther.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Jamonte Waller, man. I think if he can come in, again, I like people who I can look at and say physically, I think that they're already where they need to be. And then you just kind of have to refine their technique. And I think that he's already a pretty good pass rusher, right? Like he's not, some still, but he's going to be a guy who on obvious pass rushing downs can get in there and make quarterbacks have to feel the pressure from the edge and pause. But I just want I want to be able to get a pass rush in a better way, and I think Jamonte Waller will be a guy that can do that. Offensively, of the Freeze 4, I think Cam Coleman again is going to be the guy that gets the most immediate stuff. I think physically the one who's most prepared, and the only reason he's not up there is because he's not in the spring, and that's going to be Perry Thompson.
Right.
I think Perry Thompson physically is more ready to play than any of the other three.
Yeah.
And so I think once Perry gets there by mid-season, you might see him start to usurp some of these other ones because he's got less that he needs to do to his body to get ready. And then, just because he's naturally gifted at the other stuff, I think he's going to come in and he's going to contribute. So I'll pick Perry Thompson just off because I don't want to pick the same person.
Yeah, especially if he can create separation, in his route. Like his route running might give him an edge on everybody else right now.
He's got, I think all of that, I think that's going to be the big thing for all of them is learning how to run routes at this level.
Yeah.
Because you've just been able to run past people, jump over people. There's going to be guys that can run with you in the SEC, right? Like you're not just going to run past everybody, or they're going to be physical with you at the line of scrimmage. You're not going to be able to get clean breaks to get down the field. So learning how to run routes and come out of your breaks properly, those are the things that those guys need to learn because they haven't had to do that to be successful, which is why guys like, you said Dylan Gentry. That's why guys like Dylan Gentry end up being good receivers in the long run because physically they've never had just the advantage. They've had to learn all that other stuff to figure out.
They got to learn how to beat you other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And from a physical standpoint, I think that those guys, again, Perry Thompson's ready to go. And then, Simmons, I think is going to be the sleeper of the four. I think he's the guy who everybody just kind of forgets that he's athletic the way that he is, and he's going to sneak up on some people.
Yeah, Simmons is crazy athletic. Nobody's down on Bryce Kane, by the way, y'all. It's just that there are two people in the slot ahead of Bryce Kane.
I talked about this morning. Bryce Kane's going to have to put some weight on, my guy. He is 5'11", 153. That's too small. That's too small, man. Like, he's going to have to get him in the weight program, figure out how to put some more weight, some more muscle on him because he's going to get hurt out there if they don't. I don't know.
He'll be plus 16 pounds by the end of fall camp.
He better be, is all I'm saying.
Easily.
And the question will be if he can hold that weight and maintain his speed.
Yeah. Lawrence Robinson says also Durkin didn't have good secondary talent at A&M. Auburn probably still has a more talented secondary than A&M, but they are young and inexperienced.
While that's true, Durkin's front seven talent was insane.
Yeah.
So let's balance that out. Texas A&M. Jimbo's an awful head coach, but the cupboards were stacked over there. So his positive results last year were not it wasn't just coaching acumen. They had some dogs over there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, gentlemen, I don't see any more. I can see Lawrence here. Lawrence says, do y'all think by adding the Georgia State wide receiver transfer, it brings the younger wide receivers along sooner? Having a senior in the slot will be a big deal. Thoughts, guys?
You've already got a junior in the slot that's good and knows what he needs to do, plays really well.
I thought that was an interesting pickup. I really thought that was an interesting pickup, given that you had.
Well, here's the thing. Robert Lewis actually played outside receiver more than he played slot receiver at Georgia State. So he's a guy who can play both. I think Robert Lewis allows you to not have to worry about whether or not you're going to have a guy who can line up on the outside or the inside. He's going to be versatile and you can move him around a little bit. And because he's got experience, he can do both of those easily. What I would be looking forward to seeing from Robert Lewis is whether or not he allows you to bring along a Perry Thompson a little bit more slowly and not have to rush him out there. Like, is he going to be reliable enough and be able to get the kind of separation you need? Because he's not going to have that catch radius, but can he just get open enough, have the trust with the quarterback that they're building hopefully right now? And this is another thing when we talk about Peyton Thorne. He didn't get a spring last year like that. So if we're going to be fair in the assessment, he didn't get the opportunity to come in during the spring, learn his teammates, learn the system the way that any of the other quarterbacks would have. Hopefully that additional time will allow him to play a little bit better. But all of that equates to me, he's definitely got to take the game. He's got to take that spot during the spring. Like we ain't having no excuses going into the summer. Talking about, well, he was pressing. Boy, press your butt to the bench.
It should not. Simply put, it should not be close. With a guy going into his fourth year starting at the Power 5 level.
Yeah.
It should not be close. And I'll say the part that nobody wants to say out loud, plus the money you paid to get him to come here and do that.
Right.
Whether you like it or not, that's a part of the conversation because it keeps them from going out to get somebody else who potentially could come in and do what they wanted you to do. That investment was made to you, and it's time that we start having more open conversations about that side of this because it's happening. We're spending money on players, and then you are beholden to make sure those guys get a chance because of the money that we're spent on those players. Yeah. And everybody can sit here and pretend like it's not happening, but it's happening. I 100% believe that was a little bit of part of this equation last year because of what the coach said coming out of fall camp. We awarded him the job because we felt like he was pressing. What? Don't say that part out loud again, Hugh. Keep that. If that is the case, just keep that to yourself. If I were, from a fan perspective, I just wouldn't want to hear that. Right. I don't want to hear that at all. I want to hear that that's a factor in it.
Before we get out of here, then answer this, guys. You can chime in. Ike B, you can chime in if you want. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Do we actually see a true quarterback competition in spring and fall?
I don't know, bro. I don't even know what that looks like. What's a quarterback competition, man?
I'll tell you. Well, you know what? I will take him at his word because according to him, after the bowl game, it's an open competition. Last time we checked in, I asked the question specifically, how does this change the math for the Hank Browns and Holdens of the world? What happened today? What we saw here today in the great city of Nashville, Tennessee. We saw the third string come off the bench and go, what was it, Ike, like 7 for 9 for like 180 something or something like that?
That line was, but it was impressive.
Spinning it.
And again, cold on a day that wasn't that great from a weather standpoint either. I thought what Hank Brown did was impressive. Not a lot of kids can come off the bench and spin the ball like that.
Right.
And in a no-win situation. And I think that earned him at least a shot to overcome whatever bias they had about the other quarterbacks going into that game. Because he put his full weight behind Peyton Thorne before the game for 2024 and then had to reconsider it right after the game. I think people are missing how wild that is. The coach was like, 2024, Peyton Thorne, right? It's an election year. And then you change candidates right after the game. Like, come on, man. I'm like, let's just keep it 100 about this here. So I hope that it is, but I would take him at his word that they went in without data from Auburn when they made that decision last fall, banking on that he was going to be that guy. And now they have a whole season's worth of it to look at and make a decision. So maybe that changes this a little bit.
Good talk, gentlemen. We will definitely see as we approach spring ball. Can't wait to hear about the news coming out of spring camp. Ike, tell the folks how they can get a green name and what they should expect when they get the green name.
All you got to do is click the join button, and you can have a month's worth of wonderful film reviews, because that's what I be doing. You know what I'm saying? We get in here and we look at film. I just went through and told everybody on film why the myth that Kentucky was the reason that Auburn played poorly is drastically overdone. Go look at that film and tell me all them wide open shots you saw how great Kentucky's defense was. I don't want to get into it right now because I'm mad about it still. Membership gifting is something that y'all could do. If you are a member and somebody wants to get a free membership, you could gift it to them, and they get 1 month of that great green name gang access. If you like to listen to podcasts, we have a podcast network. We are the Auburn Express. We got the Uptempo podcast, College Loop, and Just a Sec pods as all part of that whole situation there. Appreciate everybody who continues to support that.
Share this video with those of you who are Auburn fans, friends, co-workers, looking for great Auburn content. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can follow us on X, IG, Twitter X, IG, Facebook at The War Report. We're TW Report on TikTok. So for now, guys, we will definitely catch you Friday's morning drop, Facts on Our Style. Till then, enjoy the rest of your evening. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.